Shall we begin?
Okay. Relax, Light. You're asleep. You're asleep and you're dreaming of some 8-foot-tall, demon-looking
Oh, yes. A dream. I like that.
Now, no Novocaine. It dulls the senses.
Something's spoiled. Spoiled Death Note. Welcome back, folks. Please welcome Danny, our newest spoiler. You guys know Tony. I'm Scott. We're going to talk about the Netflix original film, Death Note, based on the successful anime series of the same name. This movie is directed by Adam Wingard, stars Nat Wolff, Lakeith Stanfield, and Willem Dafoe. And Tony, you have the most experience with the anime.
To explain the movie, the basic plot is that the Shimigami, who are actually basically gods of death, what they actually do is they execute people by writing names in a book. They actually tell exactly how a person's going to die and exactly what date. That's how they continue their lifespans. One of the Shimigami named Ryuk is actually bored, drops his book into the real world, and it gets picked up by a student named Light. Light then decides to actually use this book to kill off criminals across the world, trying to rid the world of what he views as evil. Halfway through the story, his girlfriend gets involved, and actually things start getting more and more complicated, to the point where there's a power struggle between Light and his girlfriend Mia throughout the story, about who's actually in control, who should die, and who should live.
I'll start off by sharing my thoughts about the movie. For one thing, I'm uninitiated, so I kind of approach this just as a standalone movie. It wasn't perfect. So the individual performances did work for me. Nat Wolff, I think he made the most of what he had to work with. This version of Light is a bit more of a reactionary character. I think he's more or less the vehicle for the story. Margaret Qualley, who plays the love interest, was outstanding. She's actually a complete psycho-sociopath, and she does it brilliantly, and I think her performance transcends a lot of what's written on the page, because she's completely heartless, cold, and ruthless, but she's completely in love with Light, and everything goes out the window if he threatens to take his love away. But she sold that, and of course, you can't go wrong with Willem Dafoe playing a death god. It's almost like Ryuk was created for him. Mm-hmm. Lakeith Stanfield, also another surprise. He's definitely somebody to watch as an up-and-comer. You might remember him from Get Out. He's fantastic. This version of L, as I come to understand, is not as fleshed out as his anime counterpart. But Stanfield makes the most of it.
The movie for me, and I am partially familiar with the Death Note anime, and I really liked the movie for the direction it went with the art and the filming. I was captivated, at least by the first song. I know 80s, but it really drew me into the film. I liked the cinematography and how I felt like the opening of the film kind of showed how Light saw the people around him. Overall, it was an attractive film. Ryuk was definitely, I think, done very well on camera. I don't think they skimped on that at all. I think they really tried to put a lot into that.
Yeah, he did work.
Mm-hmm. For me, it was enjoyable, but being that I knew a little bit about the anime and had seen some of that, the movie is a little too fast paced. And they cram a lot of they don't try. They barely cram a lot of the substance of the story into the film, and I'm sure Tony can comment on a lot of what it's missing, and watching it I felt that hole, and so I think they really don't establish it. It kind of moves on a little cartoonish, like when they're killing people, it's like this just happens, and it's like a movie montage, and you really don't see how psychotic it actually is, and it's just like, wow.
Yeah, honestly, I have very mixed feelings about it. I had to watch it twice to really kind of get an idea of how the movie is and what it's about. The first time, I tried to watch it as a version of an anime that I really like and a manga that I really like, and it fails on every level in that sense. Light in the movie is all reactive, finicky, nervous, and just spiteful. Light in the anime and the manga is cold, calculating, borderline sociopath, absolute genius. A huge chunk of the anime and the manga actually are about the power play between two geniuses, between L and Light, one-upping each other every single time and actually just completely outsmarting each other. Light throwing distractions away from he's actually Kira, L actually figuring out what he's doing and why he's doing these specific things. The live-action version just didn't have that. They didn't really have enough time to really do that justice. Instead, what they actually do, which is kind of strange, is the power struggle is more between Light and his girlfriend. I believe her name was Mia. She wants to do the things that Light feels are morally questionable. Killing cops, killing people who are on the trail of Kira. So it's weird to see the power play shift between the anime and the manga being Light and L to being Light and his girlfriend. It worked the second time more than the first time for me. It took a little bit of gritting my teeth to deal with Light and Nat Wolff's performance. The worst of it had to be that first time when he seen Ryuk. He just outright screams like a little bitch and smacks up the door and starts screaming with his tongue flapping around and crawls on our desk and hides.
That is really not an exaggeration. That is pretty much what happened.
He's an absolute bitch.
There's something else I find very strange that something that let me down the movie is L does not seem like the adversary. It's like he's just a side victim.
Yeah.
He's just someone whose life gets messed up because of this, but he doesn't really seem like he was.
Even during the chase scene, the big long out chase scene through the alleys and the streets and the restaurant, you really don't feel like there's any jeopardy to Light.
Yeah.
No. Like I guess L looked cooler, jumping over stuff than Light did. No, because Nat Wolff, he must have gone to the Harrison Ford School of deliberately looking clumsy. The kid looked like he was going to fall on his face every step that he ran.
Oh yeah, exactly.
And let's face it, it was definitely a Hollywood foot chase because the way L was running and the way Light was running, L should have caught him way before.
Yeah.
I was entertained. It was a Netflix one-off, so I guess my expectations weren't that high.
Well, that's the thing is there might be another one of these. We have no idea how Netflix actually determines their success. It's getting a lot of social media buzz. Even if it's negative buzz, it's getting a lot of that. Netflix is looking for an excuse to make another one, actually see if it actually is nearly successful. This, honestly, regardless of quality, was successful. A lot of people watched it across the board, all demographics.
I think they are looking for successful vehicles that aren't going to cost them a lot of money.
Right.
And, quite frankly, this would not be an expensive show to pull off. Ryuk was done extremely well.
Oh, yeah. Everyone who was on camera, I loved him.
That was practical effects stuff out there, too.
And most of it was. They did mocap on Willem Dafoe, so that was his face that we were seeing.
Half of being a fan of the Death Note series and being familiar with Adam Wingard's movies You're Next and The Guest, which were awesome little John Carpenter-esque kind of horror action movies. They're really good. So I think he has the potential to do really well with this. I just think that this just didn't work well. There might have been too many hands in the cookie jar.
I think one thing I will say is, as far as accessibility, something that is good about it is, I had friends on Facebook who were not inclined to watch anime, but they watched this movie because it was live action. And so it introduces a bunch of people who will not, because they just don't want to watch cartoons or anything, it introduces a bunch of people to a very good, anime and manga. So there's a good side to it too. It may not be the best introduction, but many people who wouldn't have seen it before are watching.
Let's see if they get another shot what they decide to do with it. This one, for me, I'm going to have to score this one in the middle of the road. For me, if using our scale of 1 to 5, or I would call this one a leisurely stroll, epic journey, fun ride, leisurely stroll, Dog Walk, and Wasted Trip. I was going to use the bird, but but yeah, this one was definitely more or less a leisurely stroll for me. I thought there were some. I enjoyed the individual performances. There were some things that I thought conceptually were cool. Of course, acknowledging that concept comes from the original source material. It wasn't completely unwatchable, but there were definitely some things that could have been better.
I think this is actually an enjoyable ride. My first time through it, I said a Dog Walk, because I had tried to watch it as an adaptation of something I know. On my second viewing, I was able to actually watch it and just take it as is and not even associate it to Death Note, and it was slightly better and even enjoyable. I just really hope that they use the chance to fix their mistakes in this one with whatever comes next with this project, because I really do feel like there will be more within this project.
I give it a 3.5, mostly because the visuals are very pleasing. They used a lot of good horror visuals. They used a lot of Hitchcock. They used I felt they did a good job with the supporting cast. Was great. The father was great. His performance was was small, but he condensed a lot of that. He gave a good performance. All the supporting characters really gave their all. So between the visuals and the supporting characters, even though even not knowing a lot about Death Note, I did feel that hole in it, like Tony can describe.
Mm-hmm.
But I did not enjoy it. So I give 3.5.
Oh, 3.5 that's a fun leisurely stroll.
Yeah, a leisurely fun stroll. A skip to the park.
Yeah, if you can't follow our rating scale, just the 3.5 is fine. That's the number. You know what? We want to hear from you. What did you think? Did you think that they knocked it out of the park, or did you think that Netflix crapped the bed with this one? Leave your comments below. And if you guys want to see more, please subscribe, and you too can get spoiled. Guys, we're out.